Greetings everyone. I am here on live and I trust that you can see me and hear me if you hear. I know somebody will verify it with me soon. If the sound is good and the picture is good. So I'm just going to wait a little bit until I hear from someone. So I have received your questions. Thank you so much. And I'll be responding to them in a minute the best I can. So I'm just still waiting for a little verification to make sure that the sound is good and the sound is important. So and the picture is there. So let's see. Okay, so I asked someone to verify it, so I'm just gonna message to what to do. So let's see. Sorry to keep you waiting, but this is important. It's all good. Thank you, Sean. I'm relaxed now. That was my only so-called concern. All good, great. And it's pretty awesome that you could join as well. So the technology, thank you to the technology. So it's all good. All right, folks. So let us get centered to begin with. We're centering ourselves and we are opening ourselves up to whatever the flow brings. And I really would like to start this with a beautiful passage by Robert Adams from his book, because I am so humbled to be here and so thankful that by grace we are united here in a very special way, that we can go deep within and hopefully we get our questions answered. Thank you, Margaret. And then more than that, because this is not just like an adding knowledge. As I mentioned before, I really would like us to experiment with just to really own it, to really own that truth, not just rise beyond that borrowing the truth that we know, because there's no knower anyway. But before we get into it, so let us just get centered and open our heart, whatever the heart is, and let us just listen to these words. This is from page 3, and it's called Obedience in Truth. So you are not an ordinary person, or you wouldn't be here. There is something special about you. You are ready to be out of the show of materialism, the show of relativity, materialism and relativity. You are ready to break out of the shell of materialism, bit difficult word for me, the shell of relativity. You are ready to break out of the shell. So let it happen. The mind will create all kinds of situations to stop this from happening. It will show you all kind of nonsense, but you know now that you have the power to change these things, to turn from the nonsense to reality. You can do it. Work with it. Peace. So thank you. So we are here, and I thank you so much for the trust, the openness, the humbleness that brought you here. Everything is perfectly unfolding as it is, and if anybody has any difficulty with what is taking place, sometimes we don't like change, or we have got a preconceived ideas or judgments, or whatever. So let us just make a momentary acknowledgement that in whatever light I'm seeing the so-called other, is the same light I'm seeing myself. Whatever I'm thinking of you, whatever way I see you, I perceive you, is exactly what I'm thinking of myself. So, and if anybody has any difficulty or problem with what's taking place, then it's just showing us where we need to do the work within ourselves. So it's already a gift. It's already beneficial, because we are mirrors for each other. That's it. What I'm seeing out there in the so-called world, there's no out there, but what I'm seeing out there is actually a reflection of what I'm thinking of myself. So that is why Robert Adams said we have the power. We have the power to turn from the nonsense into reality by absolute, total re-identification, identifying with that which is true, which is everlasting, and not which is false. We're gonna go very deep into that today, I trust. So after this, I would like to read out loud the questions, which I'm thanking you so much for putting out your questions. And the way I'm going to answer is, I don't think it's going to be like one by one, and keep going back to the questions, so I'm in my mind. Because once we put it out, we all know what the questions are all about. And whatever way it comes through me and asks me is how I'm going to answer. So it might go here and there, but the questions will be answered. So I'm starting with so I received some questions in a private message, and with some of you I've been already dialoguing in a way who reached out to me in a private message. And so I will read out that one first, and then we just go to the next one and we start the answering. So this one is from Enrico Camarin, and he couldn't be here at the moment. He wanted to be here, but in Europe it's middle of the night, and it's difficult to stay up. So I understand. He will watch the replay. So he's saying, I keep struggling with my incapacity of taking a good decision. For example, I had the possibility to going back to my previous apartment where I used to live in the past. But I was so slow to take the decision to move, and now I am stuck in a place that it's too noisy to work and sleep. I keep taking wrong decisions, and I am full of anxiety that make worse my depression. I am not able to watch myself as observer. Thanks for your help. And then he continued another message. I don't understand well when he says do not react. I'm in my apartment that it's too noisy, and I try to change, but I fail. It seems a passive behavior to not react to a situation that you don't like. It says also that all sadness or happiness depend on me. This creates in me a lot of guilt for the situation I am now in. It's a suffering caused by me, and if I had made another attitude, another choice, I wouldn't be in this situation. So, and then he's adding, it seems it's mixing positive thinking with Vedanta. So we're going to come back to this. Thank you, Enrico. And then there was one sorry if I don't pronounce your name correctly, Kidmanja Bunyada, asking how can I increase my knowledge thinking capacity. Thank you. And Gabriel Kachan, I trust I'm pronouncing it correctly. Thank you for your wonderful questions. It pretty much covers the essence of Robert Adams' teaching, in the entire teaching, so I will touch it the best I can, but let's go through the questions. So can you explain the 4 principles of self-realization that Robert teaches and their impact on the expansion of our perception? What is your personal experience about it? Next one, what other concepts in Robert's teaching do you consider fundamental to expanding our consciousness? Can you go into more detail about it? What meditation methods does Robert propose? Can you describe methods of self-inquiry that Robert proposes? Free will versus predestination. Can you dive into Robert's teaching regarding these concepts? What importance does karma have in Robert's teaching? Can you elaborate on this? And this was the question. Thank you. It's quite a handful one, so see how much I can cover, but I'll do my best. Eric Spartan question. Palma principles number 3. All vegetables kingdom, animal kingdom are sacred. Does that mean I can't eat meat and vegetables? And another question. What about sex toward another opposite gender? Now on this one, I must tell you, I was going through a transcript a couple of days ago, and by chance, of course, no chance such, but by chance, Robert was elaborating on this topic, so I copied these lines, and then I'm going to read out loud what he says on this topic. So, and then there was another question lately, like awareness, about awareness, what is awareness, and then all these kind of things. So, and there was another one, I think it was by Eric Spartan, coming yesterday in the comment section. I didn't write it down. That about what does it mean that there is no dog, there is no trees, there is no nothing. So look again. So all the questions, now I can come back to this because I was reading from my laptop. So all the questions are here, and someone's asking a question. Yes, I'm in the Robert Adams. Yeah, but you here, Marietta. That's great. So I'm just reading it to make sure everything is still good. Okay, so let's go back and start with this one is one I feel moved to start, and then it will take us deep into the actual teaching, so-called teaching, which is not adding anything but taking away what is not. So my experience with Robert has been, and the greatest aspect of it has been, is the deep revelation that this world that seems to be here, that is presented by the five senses, is actually coming out of the mind. Now, we have heard the terminology identification, correct identification, re-identification many times. But unless and until we really have an understanding of what that means, and to me, the biggest thing has been, and this is what I would like to pass on and elaborate on, is everything, the key to everything is understanding. Now, obviously, teaching is truth is paradox, because there is no one to understand anything. There is no knower. However, in the process of the unfoldment, understanding is the key, because if we don't understand it, we're gonna keep going back into guilt, into shame, into unforgiveness, into not understanding. The same with the forgiveness. Like, so many times we look back, like, here we are. I'm sure there is not one being here present at this life that hasn't got some kind of an issues, or at one time in their lives they wouldn't beat themselves up, like, if I had known better, if I had taken a different approach, I wouldn't be here. But this is what we gotta understand, and this is the biggest thing and the most important thing, to understand that everything that we see, everything that the five senses testify to, is not happening in reality. It's only happening in the dream. The dream, this mortal dream, is the same dream that when we go to bed at night, and how many times we go through a dream in the middle of the night, we are dreaming, and it doesn't occur to us that it's a dream. And we really feel like, oh my God, it's happening, they stole my wallet, or they're going to kill me, I'm running, or whatever nightmare comes to us. It really feels real. Until in the morning we wake up our eyes and, oh, thank God, it was only a dream. But here's the thing. We open our eyes and we walk from one dream into another dream, because this is a dream. Because everything, the seeing, the tasting, the sight, the sound, the hearing, everything is coming from the mind, the emanation of the mind. And if this could be understood on a deep level, that kind of wipes out the entire forgiveness. You don't need to do any forgiveness after that. It wipes out the entire guilt and shame and self-pity and everything. Everything goes with that, because if you could just understand that, like, and again it goes to the karma, like everything that comes to us is karmic in a way. Everything is predestined and predetermined, but only to the one who feels like he was born into this materialism. If I feel I was born into this life, then I'm going to have karma. I'm going to experience karma because I think I exist, and then I am here in this world of dualism, and then I'm going to experience both good and bad, or the pairs of opposites. But this is what we need to understand at the deepest level, and this is why we sometimes need to stop. And the self-inquiry is so powerful, because to me it is the most immediate, the direct way to awakening. As I said to you last time, I've been involved with the Christian mysticism for the past 15, 20 years, and it's beautiful, and I'm extremely, utterly, for forever thankful to my teachers, because I don't think I would be here. I would understand what I'm understanding, but there's nobody, but you know what I mean, the words, understanding what I'm understanding. However, in any other teaching that I have seen before, there was always still that the I that wanted to get better, the I who was searching, the I who wanted to get enlightened, the I that's still searching for something. Whereas this teaching, the non-dual one, wipes out everything. There's just nothing left. So again, I'm jumping, but I'm just okay, there is another comment here. Okay, Oscar is here. Great, Oscar, thank you, lovely to see you. So I'm just going back again so with this, Enrico, this is your moment of opportunity to fully wake up. And let me tell you that you don't need time. We are actually deluding ourselves when we're buying into the concept of time, that okay, I'll listen to Palma today, whatever comes through her, and then I will sit with that, and then maybe after so much practice, so much sadhana, so many days and weeks and months, I get better. Time is not existing. You need to open up to the possibility, and anyone who is having any similar issues that I read out loud from his issues that he was saying that he would like answer to, that you have the opportunity right now in this divine instant to fully wake up, because there is no distance to truth. There is no distance to revelation. There is simply an inquiry, a looking into, and as we do that, we discover the truth. We discover that my life, whatever we put my is not an existence, but say my life, that I thought I had since birth. I had adolescence, like I was child, and an adolescence, and a young adult, and all that. And I thought I was progressing towards something. And I need to kind of see that my life is not progressing anywhere at all. Because my life, this is not my life. I have no life. I have no life, because if I understand at the deepest sense that there is only one, this is the oneness, and one infinite, invisible, indivisible self, which means no parts, no gaps in between, then it doesn't leave room for two, right? It doesn't leave room from two. So in this moment, there is no time, and in this moment I can see this. If we just do this inquiry, to whom all these ideas come? Who am I who thinks that I can decide, even that I can make bad decisions or anything decisions? Because if we agree, okay, at the moment we carry the belief that I was born in this life. I was born into time in this life. Then I'm having the consequence of karma. Can we perhaps accept that everything that is in front of us or coming into our life is actually not our life. It's just a karmic, it's our karma. We are moving through the karmic past, and actually everything that is coming into time sense in this moment is already past. So for example, this session that we are having right now is already past. It's almost like a delayed broadcast that to our senses is coming into time, but actually, because there is no time, it's already past. Everything is already past. It's just coming into our time sense. So this is not my life. So let's just pause for a moment. I'm gonna try to slow down. I just get carried away when I get into it. Like, so let us see, like, right identification. Right identification. Who am I? Who am I? And we know that the answer is cannot be answered, because if any answer we say to that, that will be someone who answers that. That will be somebody who sees that. And that would not be the right answer. So who am I? Who am I? And the four principle, I'm just jumping all over. The four principle is when we just netty, not this, not that, not this, not that. So when I go through everything I see in the room, everything I hear, everything the five senses testify to, that's not who I am. So what's left after that? Nothing. So nothing, but nobody knows that. There's nobody to know that. But until this revelation from within arises, one of the practices that we need to take on, and then we are already doing that, is this ongoing, constant re-identification, and that's one of the practices that Robert Adams is highlighting. Honestly, I couldn't tell you which principle he's mentioning, but it's somewhere in the book when he's saying, you go through, I hear the sound, I see the picture, I taste the food, but it's not happening. None of it is happening in reality. It's already only happening in the mind. It's all the emanation of the mind, which is not. Because what is the mind? A bunch of thoughts. What is the mind? A collection of thoughts from past, memories, future, projections. That is what the mind is. But here's the experiment. When we ask, who am I? And so, Gabriel, I trust I'm pronouncing your name correctly. You asked me how this applied to me. And I tell you what helped me for that inner revelation, to confirm the inner revelation of that truth. When I inquired, who am I kind of did a little bit of a run through in my mind, in my consciousness, that who am I? If there's only one self, and that's an everywhere present, omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent self, indivisible was a key one, no parts, everywhere present, then who am I? And then there's silence. And I noticed, it was an inner revelation to me, that as soon as the thinking about it stopped, okay, I couldn't find myself. Where is Palma? Who is Palma? I couldn't find myself, because in the inquiry, when the thought stops, the mind stops. When the mind stops, the universe is no more. Nothing is anymore. And there I am left, the self. But nobody answered that. But you see, this is what I would like to emphasize today in this beautiful group. I so appreciate everybody here. Everybody, as Robert said, is highly advanced, mature beings, to be able to even be open to a teaching like this. But if, it really depends on us how long we're going to be here. Because let me tell you, we can be here 5 years from now and still reading quotes and still taking antidepressant, deep depression, still beating ourselves up for past actions. Because unless and until it gets confirmed within, it's going to stay at the intellectual acceptance, and that will not cut. The intellectual acceptance of the truth, of the pointings that Robert is saying, is a great start, but it's not going to do it for us. So what we are called to do is to make the effort to truly do the work. And the work here right now is, who am I? And stop and inquire and look within, and then you can't just sit back and relax and you think, okay, I've done my inquiry. You cannot, unless you get that in the revelation, because you're gonna remain on the level of the intellect, and nothing's gonna happen to you. Nothing's gonna happen to you. So you have to make the effort initially. You have to make the effort. What is going to cause you to get that click from within, that sealing down? What is going to cause it? Yes, grace. Grace, self is another name for grace. Both is needed. Grace is always present. Grace is always around us. But grace cannot flow to you as a person. Grace can only flow to itself. So unless and until we identify as the self, it cannot flow to us. It cannot lift us. It cannot resurrect us from the so-called mortal of dream, and it cannot do it. So initially, we're going to do the work. We're going to stop and inquire. One of the practices that Robert Adams, several practices he's recommending, is, I posted on that one, three posts for 1 week, when you just keep asking every moment, every day, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Whatever happens, who am I? And non-stop for a whole week. And that's a pretty profound one. The other one that, going back to this one, actually, what I noticed, sometimes, we can still the mind gets busy, and just, we are aware of this chatterbox, it's a constant thinking, but we don't want to be thinking. And the only way to kind of stop that, you can't stop that, because if you try to stop your thinking, you at the level of the mind as well, it's not going to happen. But as you observe it non-judgmentally, as you allow it to take place, non-judgmentally, it kind of stops. But when this chatterbox is going on, see, I'm driving my car and just thinking, the thinking is taking place, and it's not practical thinking. It's not something that I need to really think about, like, okay, I have an appointment at 11 o'clock, I need to be here, I need to be there. It's a nonsense chatterbox. Now that one gotta stop. And when you ask, who am I? Instantly it stops it, for me anyway. It stops it. There is silence, and it was just, everything's still good. Was a message coming? Everything's still good. Okay. So there is silence, and then maybe it will come back again to thinking, and then we ask, who am I? Who am I? And it stops right away. Now, these practices that Robert recommends are wonderful, but at the end of the day, when we are more advanced, or when we don't need them, because ultimately we really want to get no crutches at all, because we am the self I am needs no crutches, because I am self-complete, self-fulfilled, here and now, always now. So then we will no longer do the practices, but initially we gotta do them to quiet the mind, and it's very helpful. Another practice is the breathing. The breathing also a very good method. He's recommending the 10 breathing, when you are breathing from like the lower abdomen, and then you holding your breath and breathing out. He was also recommending the Vipassana one, when you are just noticing your breathing, your thinking, but you're not interfering. And then what is another practice? So there are several practices that you can take up, and we've been posting on that. You can pick what works for you best. But right now to Enrico, because I know he's in a really, really deep depressional state. And, I am extremely thankful for what I went through in this mortal dream when it was my time to go through, not that long ago. A whole year of very deep, very deep, depression. Everything was dissolving for me. Basically, we need to understand and know that when everything breaks hell loose, like everything just breaks, like goes like crazy in our lives, it's because we are making progress, because our third dimensional, like, this kind of existence is dissolving. It has to dissolve. Everything has to go. Every attachment, every belief, every concept, everything has to go. And it's actually blessing in disguise. And this is why the post I put up about shocks are really good, because it's a fast track to awakening. So as horrible it can feel and difficult it can feel when disaster strikes, so-called disaster strike, or difficulty, severe sickness, depression, losing employment, whatever, because the more stuff like that comes to us, the faster we let go. Basically, what we're trying to do, and I know what Enrico's trying to do right now, is save himself. He's trying to stay on top of it. He's gonna pay his rent. He's gonna continue working in horrendous circumstances in an apartment, and then it's not good, and it's not good. But you, it's grace. It's grace in disguise, and you brought it on. However, after the recognition of that, if this keeps happening to you and you feel still in this suffering mode, the only thing that is keeping it alive, these poor conditions or these difficult conditions for you, is your mind. Now, and I'm talking paradox right now, because you beating yourself up because you're saying that I did it. If I had acted faster, I could have moved back to my other apartment. If I had known better. But this is what you need to understand, that you had no choice. This is what was coming into the appearance world as a karma, as whatever is happening, because you see, you keeping it alive by your reaction, but it wasn't you who did it. It was inevitable. It was bound to come. Nothing you could have done from them to come. The only thing you can do is not to react. Now you're saying to me, and then you shared with me, and you're sharing in this message that, how can I not react? I mean, it's a terrible circumstance. How can I not react? And I hear you. I know that from this appearance world, by the look of it, you reacting, Mika. This is unbearable. This is something you cannot continue existing this way. But what is waiting for you right now is to give up trying as a conditioned, separate self, because you're trying, and I appreciate that, but it's not leading anywhere, because you're trying as a conditioned, separate self, instead of stepping back, letting it take place, let it have its course, and non-reacting. Because once you no longer react, you know what? It's the same thing. Like, imagine you go to a theater to watch a play. The actors come out on the stage, and they start the performance, and it appears that there's nobody in the audience. There's nobody there. How much longer do you think they're gonna continue doing the show? Probably not much longer, because there's nobody to listen. So they're gonna pack up and go back into backstage. The same will happen with you, with your mind. once once you no longer react, once there is you as a mind, as a thought, because that's all you are, that is all there is to you as a separate self, a thought, you no longer react, that everything will just stop, because everything is responding to your reactory vibration. In this so-called world, in the world of matter, everything has a frequency and vibrates as a certain frequency, and your vibratory rate is just reacting to the vibration that comes to you. But once you become a state of once you come into a state of no thought, that's the only time there is no vibration. When you are a state of no thought, then whatever comes from the so-called outer world cannot touch you, because you are in a state of no vibration. So, as a lot has been said, there's a state of no vibration. So that is the practice. So I look back a year ago. I mean, I mentioned it before, and I know it was only in the mortal dream, and I'm especially thankful for the difficulty. But for you, Enrico, now, what I can suggest, not recommending anything to anyone, but I tell you what I did and what worked for myself. When I was in the deepest, darkest hellhole, and people said to me, I remember Sean sending me this book over a year ago, and I was at that time in the deepest, darkest hellhole, bedridden, in pain, medicated. My spouse passed away, away from my family, because family lives in Hungary. I'm in Australia, close to Sydney here, nobody here, and there I was for months and months and months. And Sean sent me the book, and he said to me that just inquire to whom is happening. But I know that when you are in that really, really, really deep depression, it actually doesn't even go through. So what pulled me out, this is what I did, okay? See if it works for you or for anybody who is struggling with something like that. I feel that gratitude, genuine gratitude, thankfulness is a highest form of prayer, if there is such a thing as prayer, because accepting that which is inevitably, it's already here, so it's already been accepted, non-resistance to what appears, and be grateful, because you can only be grateful for your seeming condition if you know that this is a catalyst for your awakening. You, in a way, brought this on yourself, because it is such a grace. It's dissolving your third dimension, everything in this world that you knew. And as you are grateful, you just say, thank you. Thank you. I don't know who you say it to. You can call it God, you can call it to yourself or spirit or to nobody. Just thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the one who called me. Thank you for the one who called me and will take me home all the way in this life. Now, when I'm saying this, it's difficult for me to say the words now, because I know they are not true. Because there is no me who needs help. There is no me who's going home, because I have never left home. I am the unborn self. I am the unborn self, and that is principle number 2. I am unborn. You know how profound that statement is? Now that is one of the things that I continued practicing over and over and over and over again. Upon awakening in the moment, we open our eyes, and the third thing we do is identifying with the word. So, but before we get too busy, if we can just make a momentary acknowledgement that I have never been born, which means I have always lived and I will always live. And Robert is suggesting that you stop imagining yourself as the invisible self, or you stop imagining yourself as as anything. Because if you do, it's still the illusion, because then you're imagining, even if you're saying some truth statement relating it to you, then you're still speaking from that mind level. Because for you to say that, like, I see myself happy, or I see myself out of the depression, who are you to see yourself out of this depression. You always have to investigate, to go at the root of that I, the source. And if you do that, you will find that there is nobody to see that. It just is. Wholeness just is. Wholeness, perfection, and all the so-called attributes of the self or the God is not experienced by anyone, because if it was experienced by anyone, it couldn't be. It just is. So, going back now, jumping a bit, sorry. So you practice this the thankfulness, the gratitude, and to truly feel into, and this is where the work stops, guys. It's really, really crucial. You stop right now, even now. Just close our eyes if you would do it with me. Close your eyes, and this is what you do. This is what you do in the morning when you wake up, okay? First thing. You so-called step out of the world. But the wording is wrong, because there is no you stepping out of the world. You are actually realizing that you are not in the world. And the way to this realization is you close your eyes, you're still in bed, and you say, you forget where you are. You forget your name, your surroundings. You forget your past. You have no past, and you have no future. But when I say you, let's please know that the real you, the true you, the unborn self, the undying self, has no history, no story, nothing. Who has the past? Who's gonna have a so-called future? The illusory self that I have identified myself from birth, which didn't happen, the birth of the body coming into this appearance in this world, that is the only one. So this is what you do. You just step out of the world, which means you realize you're not in the world. I'm the unborn self. And if you really stop here, and please feel into, this is the work. This is what we're going to do more than reading. Stopping and inquiring and confirming what it feels like. It's got a signature vibration, of no vibration, but a signature tone of what it feels like to have no past, to have no future, not to be localized as in a special spot in a moment in time somewhere, but without anything, without nothing, no baggage, and no time. We are here now in the now center. We rise in consciousness in such a kind of a high pinnacle of consciousness. What I mean is when we are finding that point of contact that is the now center, the eternal now, the eternal moment. The eternal now and before birth is the same thing. Unborn self, eternal now is the same thing. And that needs to be discovered. And once there is a signature tone to it, and with so-called practice, that vibration will be revealed to you, and that is what we're locking ourselves into. And that is how we're moving through our days and this so-called human experience, be in this world but not of it, watching, to be the witness of everything, until even the witness has to go. Because even the witness is true. Now, I recommended to Enrico the other day in my short dialogue with him that you start watching everything. You just like step back like a couple of inches, as if you're watching everything you say, you go and do and know, It is the character in the dream called Enrico. Enrico is only a name given to a form in the dream world. And you're watching it. And you know you're not that. But you're watching it, non-judgmentally, not good, not bad. And let me tell you, non-judgment, forgiveness is truly the key to the kingdom, to heaven, to the heavenly consciousness. Because as long as you insist on being a disgraced person, a shameful person, a guilty person, as long as you exist, you basically say, as long as you insist, you're basically saying, God is not, the self is not, it's not true. You're denying your very existence. This is why in the Christian mysticism, in that terminology, let me just touch it for a moment, it says that the path is so narrow, only one can enter, right? So you have to slim down in consciousness kind of until everything is gone. Otherwise there is no entry to heavenly consciousness. It's because there's only the one. But as long as you insist that I'm guilty and I need to forgive myself and I did bad, you know what? If you cannot let go right now in this moment that nonsense, you better not continue. Because whatever you do after that will be no good. You will get nowhere. So in this moment, let us just stop. Whatever we think we did, or we holding ourselves or others or anybody in condemnation, let that go. For good. Why can we let that go? Why can we do the forgiveness work? Because of the understanding that everything that has taken place from the so-called birth of the body, which is not, but let's say the birth of the body, it was, and all the effect that seemed to happen was because of the identification with body-mind. And it was not happening to me. It was not happening. Nothing has ever happened to who I am. Nothing. I am untouched, unassociated, unaffected. Fire cannot burn me. Nothing. So that's the level where we need to perceive and watch everything. If you're watching the body as if it's not your body, somebody else's body, because it's not yours anyway. You're watching it non-judgmentally, not good, not bad, just is. It's very, very important because one of the principles is, the third principle is everything is egoless, which means nothing has a cause, right? Nothing has a cause, because if everything is egoless, which means only God exists, only the self exists, only everything is sacred. Now then, I know everything I'm saying, you can say it's contradictory, because a lot of the places, Robert Adams says that only God exists, then he says God doesn't exist. You need to discern what I'm saying here. God exists, to the person who identifies there is a God, there is a this and there is a that. But God, that nothing exists, only the self, which nobody is known by no one, and that is the third principle. So nothing exists, nothing has got cause, only I exist as bliss consciousness, everywhere present. But you see, a minute we start thinking, then the thinking process brings the cause right away, because the thoughts become things in this world. So the minute the thinking comes, they take a shape of something, the effect. Only the thinking is starting. So this is the cause and effect relationship. Now just to touch now preordained, predestined. So here's this. Everything is predestined. Everything is preordained to one who believes in mortal existence. The one who identifies with body-mind, everything is preordained. Everything is preordained to the one who was born into the flesh. But because nobody was born into the flesh, therefore nothing is preordained. So let me go recap again. So everything is preordained, everything is predestined. Karma is here to the one who was born into the flesh. But because nobody was born into the flesh, there is no preordainment, there is no karma, there is nobody who is preordaining anything. There's nobody who is preordaining anything. So this is why we got to the only choice we really have is not to react. Because I really would like you to see that, Enrico. Like, I would love you to see that you don't have choice in the matter. Because what is bringing the suffering for you right now, beating yourself up so bad, is because you believe that you had a choice in the past to move into your apartment and do this and do that, but you failed to act on time too quickly. But you need to see, and you know what, this is what you need to accept. And then I don't care if you just can please accept it to start with intellectually. You say, okay, I don't have the inner confirmation yet. This truth is a borrowed truth right now. I don't know if it's true or not, but I have developed such tremendous faith, and trust in the process. I accept it. Okay, but again, you say I accept it, but we're still in duality, you see. But that's okay. That's the process, because when you say I accept it, who are you to accept it? Who is the I? But that's just the contortions we're gonna go through until we don't have to go through any contortions, because that's just the way to the inner revelation from within. So you need to, you can't possibly go and have a good night's sleep, another one, until you make that clear. You need to come pure, in your consciousness. You need to come pure with God. They said, okay, so the only forgiveness you have to make is forgiving your ignorance or of not knowing. Of course, you were born not to know. And the forgiveness is only complete. Whatever forgiveness we need to do, anybody, anywhere, forgiveness is complete when God is the only perceived being. Until and unless I see something, error or a fault or a mistake, the forgiveness is not complete, because I'm still in duality. I'm still seeing two. I'm still seeing somebody who committed something, So this is, I'm just jumping a little bit. There's various levels of consciousness in the group, so everybody is using at the moment wherever they are at in their unfoldment. For the more highly advanced ones, I would say what is critically important and what is going to make it or break it, of course, there is only one outcome, we are already self-realized, there's nobody who is not, but there's only one outcome, is not ever to work on erasing concepts or projections or anything. Because as long as I'm erasing, and even if I make the statement, it's not there, all that problem is appearing, it's not there. But you see, the one who is saying it's not there is the same level of the mind where the problem appears to be. So instead of removing the concept, the effect, there has to be a dissolution of the viewer of the problems, the perceiver of the problems, which goes back to the I practice. Who am I? To whom does it appear? Yes, it always goes back to that. The most powerful, the most direct way to self-discovery. To whom does it appear? Because as long as I see that there is a subject and there is an object, as long as anything appears to me and I take it for real, even if it's good, I'm still in duality. I'm still not in reality. I'm not in reality. So that's the practice. The other tremendous thing is, it would be very wonderful if we could just really feel this truth in our heart, that as long as I desire anything, if I desire the opposite of what I'm experiencing, maybe I desire health, or I'm desiring, say, companionship if I'm alone, or a job, or greater abundance, or whatever I'm desiring, or even happiness, which is our birthright, we do have that. But if I desire it, fine, but at one time I'm going to have to experience the opposite. So this is the thing. The ultimate revelation, the highest truth, which is beyond even the concept of truth, can only be ourselves when only be ourselves when there is no desire. So, okay, this is the greatest struggle I know for everybody, perhaps one of the greatest struggles, because we all have desires. I mean, if my body is aching, I know I had really, really difficult one the past 1 year. The body is aching. I mean, it's only natural wanting to get better, right? You don't want to feel the pain, so you desire health. But the only way to rise beyond desire is with this understanding. Again, understanding goes down to everything is understanding. With the understanding that as long as I desire this, I may have it for a short time, but by the law of this world, I'm going to have to experience the other one. Only when we rise beyond both the good and the bad do we live by grace, which means nobody lives but by grace comes. Grace is beyond the pairs of opposites, and grace is the outpicturing of all the promise that is said, that all the harmony, the happiness, the joy for no reason at all. But that can only come when there is no desire. Because if I desire, every desire, I deny the presence of the self. Because understanding that the self is what the nature of the self, like it's self-fulfillment, self-contained, self-maintained, and it's never in a futuristic moment, but always now, only and now, here and now. And only with the understanding. Now, that is one way to rise above the desire. The other way is, what Robert Adams says, that you have to have this burning, this desire in your heart. Now I'm contradicting myself. You have to have this burning desire in your heart. You have to develop passion for the self, and this passion for these words. In other words, you kind of, is a sacrifice, it looks like, the momentary human pleasures for the greater everlasting, good, but what I'm saying is, like, not something that comes and goes, but is like a more permanent dispensation, is always here. When you truly have this burning desire, and that's the only desire is permitted truly, until even that one has to go, but I'm saying this burning desire in your heart for self-realization. That's what Robert says. You must want to have that, Until that time, you will always have other desires. Like, for example, the two-way realization tape, I think that's why it is, he's using that bird example, the bird, that I'm just looking at the time, I'm sorry, it's been 1 hour, but I try to keep it within 90 minutes, so because I know there's not that much we can take in, and I'm going to get to the other questions as well. Just this is how it's everything unfolding, so I can't believe it's been 1 hour already, but please bear with me, or you can stop the tape and watch it later. I'm just going to carry on because it's all here to say. So there is this bird, that is beautiful, beautiful story. Becky posted it just a while ago. Like at the top of the tree, there's a big bird, a majestic, luminous, beautiful bird, and the bird on the under, like the bottom of the tree, is jumping from the branches to get like purple berries and orange berries, and then he says, oh, look at that big bird at the top, like I want to be there. I want to find out what the secret is to be just not jumping, not needing anything, not wanting anything, and yet to sit and be so poised, and and then so he decides he's going to just skip the berries and is going to go up, which means he's going to not pay attention to the temporary human pleasures. He's just going to keep for the main thing. But then he discovers the bird sees the orange berries and gets distracted, and then stops and says, oh, but when the berry is gone, when all the good is gone, then he's feeling sad again and disappointed. So this goes on for quite a while, and the same with us. Like, we know what we're here for. We know that the only purpose for being here is to find that I and let that I that dissolve, that is not here. That's the only thing. But because we are not crystal clear in our intention, or there is no understanding of purity in our understanding or something, what we're here for, we get distracted, we go for short-term happiness, and then even that one is perfect, everything is perfect because everything is karma. But I'm just saying, like, the fastest way truly is to be one pointed, to have that crystal clarity and understanding of what I'm here for. I know that ever since for many, many, many years now, I had that understanding. And that was my great blessing. I didn't really get distracted with too much human pleasures or something. They were there, and at times it felt like I'm missing out. Like, look at all the people. They're going, all having great times, and here I am alone and then in pain and all that. But you know what? I learned in a way that that's not worth it. Nothing in this world is worth to go for. So, and then as you have that one pointed, crystal clear clarity of understanding of what you're here for, that transcends all desires. You just don't have it anymore. And again, you didn't do it, because if you try to transcend the desire, that would be still the second self. But when your intention is pure, when you're really truly here for that one thing, grace takes over it, as it has for me, and it will take care for you. So, just so much to cover. So let me just have a look if I covered everything. And here, I'm just going back to these notes to Enrico to make sure I covered everything. So I think I pretty much said what you need to do. You need to have that acceptance, even in a mental level. You need to distinguish, separate yourself from the so-called firm identity. That's not you. You never was you, never will be you. It's only a dream, the dream character moving through. That's not you. And patience needs to be also developed, and humbleness, because even though I said to you that it doesn't need time, because time doesn't exist, but right now, when you stop and then you do that looking into, the moment, the opportunity is always here, always present, to discover that the identity I believed was me was nothing but a thought. With the right way, you can just discover that, and it takes no time, really, truly. Sometimes things takes time for us because of the concept. We believe it takes time. If we believe it will take time, it will take time. Otherwise, it can be an immediate experience, which I intend to take us through a fair bit in the coming sessions. Today I'm talking a little bit much because I'm kind of covering, these questions, but you know what I mean. So I think I kind of answered the question to Enrico, and what needs to be done here. The forgiveness is the same thing. you cannot possibly forgive everything in your life and everyone. But with the correct understanding that everything that happened was bound to happen, there was nothing you could have done about it, that wipes out everything. There is no one to forgive and nothing to forgive, and there's no person that needs to do the forgiving, So, but, it's not good for you just to barter it intellectually. Yeah, 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 yeah. You have to stop. And this is what I really invite everyone to stop and just sit with just one passage, maybe even just an hour. Just take it in consciousness and sit with that. And let that inner revelation come, because it's not about reading. The truth is only yours, no one's, but words. The truth is only yours. It's only yours that gets revealed, confirmed from within. Until that time, it's borrowed truth. It's somebody else's realization or knowledge or whatever you wanna call it. You need to stop and do the work. Stop, inquire, look within, and so on. So I don't think I covered the first principle. Maybe I did. I mean, it's just jumping all over. Sorry, the way it's coming. When everything is the emanation of the mind. There is everything that so-called seems to be in this world is in the mind, emanating from the mind. There is no out there. You see, there is out there. You see, only in this world, in the world of form. Like this is a form, Palma. And there you are over there, the form of Peter or Mary or whoever. But I'm in here and you are out there. But you are out there only to the sense image called Palma, which is not. So you only out there. But in reality, in truth, there is no out there. And why not? Because out there is just the self. There's nothing but that, So there is no out there. So anything that seems to be out or here or in or out is all the emanation of the mind. And again, with this understanding that no matter what I see, what I hear, how bad the pain or the body or something, it's just a projection of my mind. And as you no longer react to it, Robert Adams says always, your body will do what the body is doing, but what does it have to do with you? You unborn self. It goes down, you are the unborn self. I am the unborn self. I am the never born self. And that's what you identify with. And you feel into that, you remind yourself of that every hour of the day, or every as often as you can. As often as you can, I'm the never born self. And then you know what? It's not an intellectual mantra. Mantra won't do anything to you except quiet your mind. It's that is what is leading to direct inner confirmation. And that has been my experience. If you want to know my experience. So, yes, I think I said about what was my experience. I'm just remembering that Gabriel asked what was my experience. I think I'm sharing from direct experience. Everything I'm sharing with you is not a knowledge. It's not something that I read from a book. Well, yeah, I'm repeating in a way what Robert says, but I'm only saying what also agrees with my being. So it is, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So everything is. Everything gets confirmed. Everything is authentic. I'm sharing from my authentic experience. It's very important to be one-pointed and not to get confused, not to get okay. So I'm just a message here. Oh, right, great. Okay. Well, thank you, Gabriel. I'm trying to answer your questions, and you know what? Whatever doesn't get answered, believe me, I will come back again, and then I will answer again. So I will answer more. So that's great. So, Okay, I'm just stopping, pausing for a moment because there was so much flow. I mean, honestly, I was not thinking of what I'm saying. Everything was just coming. So I'm just pausing for a moment and see what needs to be answered. Yes, I haven't answered any question to Eric Spartan, so I'm going to answer now. Um, Look, about meat eating and vegetable eating, um, um, it is suggested, not even suggested, it just, Robert says that as you advance on the path, as you realize that everything is sacred, everything is God, you would automatically perhaps stop eating meat. Now, let me tell you that my whole life I never liked meat. As a child, I could barely swallow the meat, and to this day, there's only very little meat I can eat, like chicken and fish and that seafood. That's pretty much it. And sometimes even that when I don't feel like. However, the body went through kind of um, very intense what is that insufficiency of iron. Yes, iron. And it's just the way the body is for me. I just, at this moment, I'm just still gonna have a little bit of a meat, like chicken and fish. And and really truly nothing really has meaning, anything meaning, except the meaning you give to it. But by all means, the worst thing you can do, if you do something you're not supposed to do and you feel guilty, you immediately separate yourself from the source that you are. You immediately go back into the dualistic realm. You don't want to do that. There's nothing right and nothing wrong. So if you like meat, eat meat. If you're supposed to stop it, you will stop it automatically, and that's it. Now, while I'm with Eric Spartan, and I still got a little bit of time left. I promise you I'm not going to go over 90 minutes, so I still got a little bit of time. So I'm going to read out loud. Let me just see if I quickly find it. Here in my email, here we go, a response to the question. Okay, so I copied and pasted this one on the response about sex, like the interaction with other beings, in that way. And then I was glad to see that. So I don't need to answer this in a way. Like I just would like to um, share with you what Robert said on this topic of what about sex. Once you become self-realized, like, are you going to continue that, or it's not relevant? Let's see what Robert says. Just few lines. I'm going to read out loud, if that's okay. So the only thing that gets in the way is your mind. Sex is neither good or bad. It exists. It is part of the role of the aspirant. Do not deny it. Do not praise it. There have been many Zen masters who were enlightened and continue to have sex. There were many who didn't. It's all part of the world. It's all part of Maya. It's neither good nor bad. If you surrender your body, surrender your sexual desires, your urges, then something will happen inside of you to make you go higher in life, to transcend the world, and you will find at that time that if it's part of the plan for you to have sex, you will. If it's part of the plan for you not to have sex, you won't. What I'm trying to say, there is no such thing as having to have it or not having to have it. It is something that takes place in each individual's mind, and it's up to them to live with themselves, to understand where they're coming from and have complete control over themselves. A couple of more lines. The true feeling, the true orgasm is yourself. You are that, and you can live in orgasmic state all the time. Never think you have to give anything up. Never think you have to indulge in anything. When you are free, what you do, it will come naturally. It will happen by itself. But when you say, I have to have sex or I go crazy, then you have a problem. Sex is for sex's sake is a waste of time. But sex is for raising your consciousness is interesting, as in tantric yoga. But all this is part of the mind. Therefore, know thyself, know yourself, know who you are, and you will know what to do. So my experience, just really, really roughly, that as you continue the practice of not identifying with anything that the five senses show you, um, everything becomes in this world insignificant, meaningless, truly. Nothing really truly have a meaning that used to have before, and you don't respond that way in the sexes. It's not bad to the senses. It's not bad. It's not good, but definitely there is no urge in any of the five senses. Not like before. It's just different, it's just different. Yeah. And also, Eric asked about what does it mean that the dog is not there, the tree is not there. Um, it means that everything we see, everything, is not there because I am there. The self is there. So it's there in this dream world. And as you know, the dream world is only a dream world while the thought activity is taking place, the thinking, because you can confirm it for yourself. Everything comes with a thought. If there is no more thinking, you see, there is a thought and there is a sense image coming. A sense image like a body or something. Sense images are powerless because it has got no essence, no substance in them. That's why everything that comes to born in this world dies, because it hasn't got the life of God in it. It hasn't got the life in it. It's got no essence. It's just an image, sense image. It's nothing. So it's another great practice while we are doing sadhana's practice. Like, we can always do practice if we want to, like you're stopping in the car, red lights there, and you say, okay, it's not there. It appears to whom appears only the sense image. And this is the ongoing practice until you no longer feel inquiring, because the seer of the object has dissolved to that extent that the question never rises. You see, the question only rises about anything while there is still somebody, an entity, wanting to know, which is a separate sense of self, because the true knower doesn't need to know anything. And we ask questions, and yes, I do encourage you to ask questions, and there were a lot of questions for Robert Adams, in his time. But you will see yourself that as we progress on the path, we don't have questions as such, because before we even voice the question, it gets answered from within. So, but again, no judgment, and I do love the questions, and I think it's very important that if you do have questions, you continue to put them out, because it gives me something to work with. It gives me a topic to elaborate on, and that naturally, organically takes us deeper into where we need to go. So I can come on any day and start talking, pick a topic and start talking about, say, compassion or something, like start talking about something. But this way is an organic way. We are being taken where we are called to go. And when you have a question, please don't think it's just your question. I'm sure that many people in this group have got similar or the same kind of question. So this is why I suggested to Becky, when I became aware of the calling. It was just in an instant, one moment, I just felt this fire in my heart. A couple of weeks ago, it was after reading a response to a question that I responded in the Robert Adams site, and I just, in that moment, it just got revealed to me. That was not planning. I never saw it happening. That never saw it coming. In fact, when Becky put it up a month ago in the group that somebody can answer questions, and I tell you what, I must admit something. There was a momentary thought. I said, "Oh God, no, that's hard work." Like, I had that kind of it was like, and I was watching that like I thought, oh, interesting. I said, no, not interesting. I'm just happy to put together those passages, very nice and colorful. But when I could see the responses from the individuals in the group, that they benefit from that, they print them out, then it answered the question, I thought, this could be a lot more beneficial if I could just come on live and do what I did, like hundreds and maybe thousands of times, in the past with my back then other group. To come on, it's very different setup here now, so I'm not comparing, but I did this kind of thing before, and then I come on and answer, because I know that everybody, or whoever relates to it, will benefit from that. So this way we can maximize the growth, the benefit in the group. So that is what I was referring to. So one more thing, the time, it is another practice. I honestly didn't hear, maybe I didn't explore all the many tapes yet by Robert Adams, because I only really got into it wholeheartedly and fully 100% about maybe 3 months ago or something like that. I did read before, but never giving myself my whole being to it like I have now. So there's a lot more I need to go through. I would like to go through. No, I don't need to, but I would like to. I enjoy it. I love it. Um, but maybe I will come across where he talks about time, because that's another very important practice. And let me just point this out now for all of us, that as long as we are in time, we are in mind. Time and mind goes hand in hand. So how do I know I am in time and not in the eternal now? I know by the waiting. So just look back and see if there's anything in life that we are waiting to come, to go, to dissolve, or maybe even feverishly waiting, anxiously waiting, or maybe waiting to get well, or waiting to not to react anymore. I just can't wait till I'm finally not gonna react anymore. So we're just waiting for something, and every time we're waiting, we are in time, which means we're not in reality. We're not with God as God. We are separate. We separated ourselves by waiting. Now, this one can be caught by developing super conscious awareness, because we're developing sublight detachment and we're developing super conscious awareness to catch ourselves. Now, that is one of the practices that Robert recommends, that you become the watcher, which means that you are on guard, you're watching your mind, nothing can miss you. It cannot miss a thing. Like, whereas before you could talk like human, you could act like human, you could react and all that, and you didn't even see it because you were not aware of what was going on. But now you have developed such super conscious awareness that nothing can miss you. When the ego is in play, you see it. Aha, I see you, I see you. So by awareness, you're watching and you're not reacting. So you're watching yourself. Every movement, every little bit of a twinge or a hurt or a response, or you watching this little me that is so alive in us still, like they identified with, that is trying to bribe people, by tame people, by being nice. You got to see that that is not who you are. When you're trying to be nice so that you would not get hurt or you would be loved, you need to see that. You in the operation of the mind, you in your second self, which is no self, so you become super aware to watch everything. And you know what, the thing is, once you've seen it, there's nothing you have to do, because when you seen it, that's the end of it. It got seen by you, by the awareness, like you've seen it, so that's the end. So you gotta watch, because you have no idea until you begin to watch how many times, every moment, every hour, every minute, we acting as the second self. We're not aligned on all levels. In the morning we state, I am unborn, Everything I see is only happening in the mind. Nothing is real and all that. And you get up and you go, and then the first instance you get offended, you feel the rage, or even, you need to really, really watch yourself and know when you are in the second self, in that no self, in the mind, or not, and then as you watch it, it will be less and less and less and less until it is no more for you, no more reality, no more. Everything will still continue to appear, but inside your consciousness will be drastically different. To the outside world, you appear to be the same, nobody would know, but inside, you're not here. You've never been here. You've never been here. Never been here. Never. And then you will never die, and then never born and never die. Wow, beautiful it is, But again, we're going to practice. When I say practice, this is what I really would like to do. And I don't have the time, for 5 minutes left today. To just take us into a deeper, when I say journey, the only journey we really have is to go deep within the self. We're not moving on time. We're not waiting for anything to change in this world. We're not in time. We have found a point of contact where there is no past, there is no recollection of memories. It belongs to the dream character called Palma or Enrico. Even that one is a dream. There is nothing to wait for in the future. Why? Because I am in the eternal now. The eternal now encompasses past, present, and future. It's a never-born self. So when you are in your never-born self, even better said, when you are as your never-born self, you're not in it, you are it, in a never-born self, there's no karma, there's no time, there's nothing can affect you because you're not there to be affected by it. That comes with practice. So let me just have a look at these questions to make sure I responded. Okay, there was one question. I just need to make sure that at least I responded one. So there was this question at the very beginning. I can't see. I'm going to bring it up on my phone. Okay, so this was a question by Kidmanya Bunyada. How can I increase my knowledge thinking capacity? Well, this is like a really easy one to answer. Hey, why would I want to increase, my knowledge thinking capacity? If anything, there is no thinking, there is no thought. So all the knowledge, the vocabulary, the knowledge can be just eliminated because we don't need knowledge and we don't need to think. This is what is so hard initially to comprehend, that we don't need the mind. We don't need the mind's help. We don't need thinking. As long as you identify with the body and the mind, and in this world I'm a person, then I have to struggle and strive and labor and suffer the consequences of my action. Yes, I do. But as I consciously, and Robert says it has to be a conscious, consistent acknowledgement. It can't be just a momentary reflection, I'm unaware. No, it has to be ongoing, conscious, consistent knowingness, acknowledgement, I'm the unborn self. And as I know that, as that is the consciousness I live from, then, there was this passion in my life, like going back 15 years ago, maybe even more than that, to live by grace. My prayer was that, God, I just would like to live by grace. I give everything, true surrender. When you no longer concerned about your little life, you have no little life. When you give up trying to save yourself or make ends meet and all that. So I knew that my life will be lived by grace, which means no struggle, no strive, just ease and grace and spiritual dignity. When the effort stops of trying to save myself, or so if we no longer try to find solution to problems, because the one that is finding the solution, the one who is looking for solution to the problem is the problem. is the only one that is keeping you alive, the problem. And as the reaction is less and less, and we no longer, there is no longer even, like, problem doesn't even register in our consciousness anymore, because we are a completely different realm of consciousness. It doesn't come to us anymore. Then, and only then, grace takes over. Takes over, like, and then it is something so beautiful and so unimaginable to the mind, that such life is possible, that you don't have to struggle and strive and suffer. Everything is done for you. Everything is poured into your lap without you moving your little finger. When you stop the thought process, when you stop the reaction, then everything becomes possible. Everything is here. And that everything has always been here. And that is the only thing that has always been here. What has veiled it? The thinking, the identification with body, mind, the belief that I was born and I will die, that veiled it. So our practice is to let it remove, dissolve that which is not. The five senses, nothing got created. Nothing got created, no cause for anything. And what remains is that. I am that, you are that. That is the only thing that is here, So I'm going to wrap it up now. I said to you no more than 90 minutes, and then so it's 1 hour and 30 minutes. So thank you so much, everyone. Look, I've done my best to answer the questions. I know I didn't go as deep as I would have liked to go, to elaborate specifically the four principles, but I will come on again if you like. I can come on next week. We're going to have the satsang on the 23rd. Am I George? Yeah, and then I can come on around Christmas if there is a. If you would like me to come on, I'm very happy. I don't have Christmas. I mean, every day is the same for me, so I don't have any special day. This is my passion. This is what I live for, I breathe for, and I die for. Just an expression, so I can come on again in a week time, after the satsang and another day, and then we can continue and dive deeper. And if this leads to further questions, please let me know. I might put up a fresh new post, so the questions are fresh again, and then we can go together with journeying in the nowhere, which is already here. We're just journeying into the here and the now, immediate, right here and right now. So I thank you so very much for being here. I salute you all, and I'm going to stop talking now. And next time we will be doing a lot more pause, and that is my greatest, most beneficial offerings to this group. I feel that we're gonna stop. It's gonna be silence for a few minutes every now and then, and be doing the work here and right now, the discovery, and that's for next time. I just laid it out, all of it today. Thank you. Namaste. Blessing to everybody.